Okay, this morning, we got actually some good news. First-time jobless claims. They came in at their lowest level in 7 weeks. This after a report earlier this week that the JOLTS survey, the job openings number that we get, it actually in December was at a record high. But the Republican presidential frontrunner is calling baloney on all of those data points. Donald Trump spoke about that with our Stuart Varney this morning. Listen to what he said.
If you add up all of the people that have looked for jobs and cannot find them, and now have given up looking, you're talking about an employment rate that could be as high as 25%.
And then on the complete other side, you have Bernie Sanders also bemoaning the fact that a lot of people don't either have the job they want or any job at all. So on both sides, it becomes the polarizing issue. Who wins in a very questionable economy? I'm bringing in Mathew Littman. He's a Democratic strategist and former speechwriter for then-Senator Joe Biden, along with Michael Goodwin, who's a columnist for the New York Post and a Fox News contributor. And Fox Business. Good to see you, Michael. Gentlemen, on the surface, we got positive data. So, Mathew Littman, that goes certainly to the Democrats who would say, well, the job looks better, the jobs picture looks better. And yes, on any given day, the Dow looks worrisome, but since 2009, we've come well up off those lows. So who wins? How do you play a very questionable economy if you're, say, the Democratic side here?
So there's no question that the economy is in better shape than it was before Barack Obama took office, right? After a long rule of Republicans. And then we had, before George W. Bush, George H.W. Bush. Bill Clinton did better than George H.W. Barack Obama did better than George W. And I would assume that the next Democratic president would probably do better than the next Republican president. But let me also say this. I just love being on with a reporter from the New York Post. It's my favorite newspaper, Michael. I disagree with almost everything that you write, but I love the New York Post.
It's so much fun to read, Michael. It really is. And you talk to any CEO, they say, oh, we all pretend we're reading the Times or the Journal first, right. But we kind of reach for the Post first. And certainly your columns have been very tough on Barack Obama. But let me just shunt this here to John Kasich, who had a very nice showing in New Hampshire by making the economy a real cornerstone, and it worked for him. Will it continue to work for him, or does what Donald Trump says, which is really striking at the heart of what people feel, that it's not a great job market, which one will work better in South Carolina?
Well, look, I would throw Bernie Sanders into the Republican side of the ledger in the sense that he is criticizing the economy. He does not find any real fruits from the Obama economy. Hillary Clinton, the Obama economy is one of her burdens. So the idea that a Democrat can profit from this economy, I think, is mistaken. I think neither one of them really feel that way, especially on days like today. And I should say that I think that almost any event that happens from here until the election is most likely to favor the Republican candidates, because whether it's terrorism or the economy or just the continual bleeding of the market down, I think all of those make it very difficult for a third consecutive term of one party. That has been the recent history. Really only George H.W. Bush following Reagan. Normally you get a switch of parties after 2 terms. I think that's what days like today make more likely.
Mathew, how do you counter that?
Well, I think Michael makes a good point in that Sanders is not running on the Obama legacy, and Hillary is running on that a little bit more. And I think what you're about to see now is a real divide between the two of them, between Obama and Hillary. This really gives, between Hillary and Sanders, this really gives Hillary an opening that she may not have had before, because Sanders is being pretty critical of Obama. On the Republican side, I just have to tell you that John Kasich is by far the most likely general election candidate to win. If it's Trump or Cruz, it's very hard to see how they could beat Hillary in a general election.
Okay, and finally, yesterday, Carly Fiorina and Chris Christie stepped aside. Where is Ben Carson in all of this discussion when, Michael, we have the Black Caucus endorsing Hillary Clinton, and you've got Bernie Sanders trying to curry favor with the black vote? Ben Carson is an African-American, and he's not even part of this conversation.
Look, I think the process is working. I mean, the whole idea of each state is basically to winnow down the field. The Republican field, I think, started with something like 16 or 17. We're down now to 5 or 6 main candidates still standing. And I think Dr. Carson is probably the next one to leave the race. After a while, it just gets frustrating, it gets pointless, and they don't have money. So they run out of time, they run out of money because they don't have enough votes. And look, I think that we are down now in South Carolina to a very different demographic, and in Nevada as well for the next 2 states for both parties, although they switched the order. I do think this will be a further definition of the race on both sides. And I think, of course, with Bernie Sanders, can he break out of the Northeast? Can he be a different candidate? Can he be a national candidate? That is his test. I think Trump, we already see strength in South Carolina, strength in the Southeastern Conference primary. So I think that the races are each proceeding as they should, winnowing and targeting.
I don't like, you know, Michael, I don't like agreeing with you this much. But I think you're right on this one, too. Ben Carson is the next one to drop out. But I have to say, on the Republican side, as much as I think Kasich should get into that final 3, it's really going to be between Cruz and Trump. And the Republican Party better get used to it. Yeah. There's no establishment candidate coming to save the day.
Everybody around here, at least, is saying, watch out for the guy with the most money, and that's Michael Bloomberg. And that will be a discussion for another day. We'll bring you both back. It's a long way till November, gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you very much, Matt.